Hello again, everybody. This is Barbara from SBS. I want to welcome you guys to our Lucero Aguilar lecture about Quarenteaching. And before you ask, we are going to make the link to download your certificates available during the lecture. So you can download it and fulfill it with your data, okay? Now, please welcome Lucero Aguilar.
Hey, hello everybody. So thank you so very much for being here. I can see that we have people from Peru, people from Brazil. So thank you so much for being with us. And well, now today we're going to talk about something that we've been experiencing for the past, oh my God, like 9 months, 10 months. This is insane, right? And it seems like we are heading towards another year with this. But let's strive for this. We can do it. So we're going to talk about Quarenteaching. And what I have today for you, it's very important points. So that's why you see VIP on your screen. So we have very important points to consider when we are talking about teaching remotely to a group of students, regardless if you are talking about youngsters, kids, teenagers, like you name it, young adults. We will see what are the tools that we can use. And at last, I have some quick wins that I like to call. So I'm going to just present to you some of my favorite tools to use in this lockdown teaching. And what I love about those tools is that all of them are free. So let's get going, shall we? So I belong to Empresarialty, so probably you have been here with us before, so you know this, my name again, Lucero Aguilar, and actually, since this is not my first time with you in SBS, what I want to discuss is a little bit more about myself, and this is going to be relevant for later on in the presentation, so keep in mind what we do here. So this is just a quick organizer about me. I really like running. That's one of my favorite hobbies. The other one is reading. I adore reading. And lately I've been a lot into audiobooks. Before it was like not my favorite, but now I've learned to love them. Like through quarantine, I have learned to love audiobooks. And if we're talking about teaching, my favorite kids to teach are by far teenagers. I think they have lots of energy and the spiciest comments. So I love working with teenagers. And I also love teaching productive skills. In particular, what I love is writing. That is my most favorite subject to teach. And also speaking. Speaking is also one of my favorite things to do. So that was me in a nutshell. So now let's go into the actual business of today. So for this one, I found this really interesting quote about what is Quarenteaching. So Quarenteaching is, according to the definition that I found on the internet, the act of scamping to prepare for digital learning with, and this is what I really love about this, zero training, zero funding, and zero or very minimum assistance, and for a very long time. Right now, we don't even know when this quarantine is going to finish. Hopefully, with the vaccine, everything is gonna start working again. But if not, this is another, and this is the visual representation of this. May the odds be ever in your favor. And if you ever read the books or watched the movie, well, you know what I'm talking about. I'm talking about this is the Hunger Games. At times you feel like, okay, I need to fight for my life because I don't know. I don't even know with which new problem my kids are going to turn into the lesson, or probably which new thing my supervisor is going to come and ask me, or we don't even know. The curveballs are infinite. So with this, I actually have the first interactive activity. So if it is possible for you, I would love for you to join my Slido. So you can only Google this one or put it on the search bar, slido.com, and you can use that code. Or if you are watching this through your computer and you have a mobile device, you can just scan the QR code. And I have a small activity for you. So let's see how that goes. Ready. So let me know. Now in here, actually, my question is the following. So using only 3 words, how it's been your quaranteaching experience? So challenging. Okay, we have the first one. Someone says that this is challenging. And yeah, I think it's going. Yes. It took a little bit to load on the screen for everybody, but we finally have it. So challenging. Any other? Tiring. Oh my God. Yes, I feel you. A brand new experience. Oh, very nice sentence with those 3 words. Thank you. Tiresome. Different by far. Like, this is not what I thought online teaching was going to be. Stressful. Positive. Oh, that's really nice. Yes, thank you. Challenging. Hard. I don't know who wrote this one, but a part for reinvention. Yes, this is the moment to reinvent ourselves or teaching, to reinvent the way that we interact with others, with our students. Exhaustive, weird but challenging. Exciting, yes. Innovative by far. And we are always finding new tools, and you're hearing from other teachers telling you new things. Not bad at all. Yes, thank you. Lots of research. I am with you. I am 100% with you. um, Teamwork. Yes. And I'm actually going to talk about that in a moment of a presentation. So you will see. I'm so glad that you are putting teamwork. Lovely. Interesting. Yes. It's a huge part for learning. Yes, I agree 100%. Fun, different, reflective. Oh, this is so nice. That's why I love working with all of you in Peru, in Brazil. You always come with the very points of presentation with this one. Okay. I can see that we have like 67 people like working with this Slido. So thank you so very much. I'm going to stop this one. 69, 17, growing. I'm going to stop this one and I'm going to go back to the presentation. So for this one, here's what is going on. When we are talking about quaranteaching, again, probably at the beginning, we didn't have an idea of how this was going to work. We didn't have a clear idea of what were the tools that we were going to use. If you were lucky, probably you had experienced this one as a student before. So you know what to expect and you know what the students might see. But if this was your very first experience teaching or learning through this method, it was like groundbreaking. But as many of you were mentioning, you were writing positive comments because it is for that. It is a great time to grow, to learn with students, to be more empathic, because we were also students at the beginning of all this transition. We became students. So now let's go for the very important points. After several months, especially after the 6 months, the first semester that we spent with this change, something that I realized was, for example, the parts that we as teachers, sometimes because of the workload or because of the routine or everything, we start like neglecting, not because we want to, but again, sometimes the workload doesn't allow us to continue as we wish we were doing. So that's why I decided to come with 4 basic points to consider. And the first one, and something that I have seen with students and that I have seen them struggle, is this: the content. I know that we as teachers, we have to prepare lots of materials. We need to think about not only about our classroom and the things and the activities that we do in the classroom, but now we need to consider the activities that students will have to do outside the classroom. And no, I'm not talking about homework. I'm talking about, oh my God, all the things that we need to prepare for them to get acquainted to the material, to the vocabulary, to the lesson, to make sure that they are truly understanding, to do scaffolding properly. And in the midst of looking for give more to students, sometimes we overload the students' minds and even we overwork ourselves. So something that I have noticed is that the easiest way to do an activity or a handout, the easier, the better. Because if we want to adapt the activity, we want to modify it, or we notice that we can do some small changes to improve it, the easier that we have this, it's gonna be better. So let's see what else. We have a 24-hour break, and this is for lesson planning. Now, this one I'm talking directly to you, teachers. When you sit down and start planning, I don't know if that's your favorite. I know that was one of my least favorite things, that and talking to parents, perhaps. So we need to have a break from our lesson plan. So probably you have to hand in your lesson plans every Friday. If possible, if you can start like working throughout the week, and just if you're not completely sure about something, take a break. Maybe 24 hours will be lovely. I know that sometimes we don't have that time. So if you don't have the 24 hours, at least have a small break. Try to work like with the Pomodoro technique and work for, I don't know, 30 minutes. Then you take 5 or 10 minutes, take a break, watch a little bit of your favorite sitcom, and then you come back. So you yourself, when planning, you are not overworked. So you don't feel overwhelmed by the things that you need to do or the activities that you need to plan and describe. The other one is to have a video review. In the means of possible, prepare material for students to check before they join your class. So again, synchronous and asynchronous learning. So in the asynchronous learning, that's something that we can do. Prepare material that is going to help students foreseen the following class. Or maybe not a video, maybe you want to prepare a website. Personally, I love using Google Sites because I can create the website and I can add videos, links, exercises, link it to my documents of Google Classroom. It is lovely. I can do everything in there. And it, again, is completely free. So who doesn't love free items to work with? So that's something that I do. I try to do an overview for my students before they join the class. So let's say the last thing of the unit, I check that on Friday. So for homework, before we start on Monday, I ask my students to enter that website so they can see more or less what the new unit will be about. Or probably I can send them the video to the link to a video, so they can check that. That is the idea. So they have a better idea, and that helps us condensing content, not overworking their memories, and also to keep them interested into our class. The next one, and you will see it throughout my presentation, the use of numbers. Or maybe if you don't use numbers, you are using the alphabet, but make sure that there is a way that students know in which part they are. So if you're planning to do an activity, make sure that students know, okay, this belongs to part A or number 1, activity 1. So they know, oh, if I go straight to part 3, because that is a part when I have to do production, I know that production is there. But if I skip part 1 and 2, I'm not going to understand. I'm not going to be able to do things. And this also works if you are just with the synchronous lesson and you are presenting PPTs. You can also do this one. You can put like a small number at the top corner of your presentation so students know in which part of the class they are. This is something that even when I was in college, one of my teachers used to do. She will enter the class, and as soon as she will enter the classroom, she will go to the whiteboard and start writing 4 or 5 different numbers. And she will put, like, I don't know, participation, homework, like the things that we need to carry on for that lesson. And we were in college, but still, that was super helpful for us because we knew. We were like, okay, I get it. So in this part, so I don't know, I want to finish the class already. Can we finish it now? So that teacher will do that. She will realize, okay, so I know that they might lose focus. And that's something that probably you have seen right now when everything is online. So if they have a way to track in which part of the lesson they are, it's going to be more like satisfying, and mostly it will calm them down for the rest of the lesson. And the last one regarding content is active retrieval. So knowing in which moments to do a recap of the things that you have seen. For example, when you are working with very young children, or when you are working with students that you know that typically need to recap like more often than others, I will suggest doing it through games or through activities where students feel like it is not, again, a quiz. It is not checking, again, the things that they have seen for the subject. No, it has to do something that helps them relax, but also retrieve information that they have seen previously. So this one, you can do it again with remember when activities. You can use, for example, a Slido. We just use it. You saw how it was. It's super easy. You have lots of interactions. You can do quizzes. You can do word gardens like the one that I was doing. There are lots and lots of things that you can do with those tools. And with those ones, those are interactive. They can allow students to retrieve information. And at the same time, it will allow them to have a different interaction, and it will take their mind, at least if it is for a moment, from the online class. So it will be like, yeah, it's a challenge, or it's a game, or it's something that I need to do with my friends, just to keep things exciting. And this, regardless of the age. And if we're talking about, again, very specific planning parts, this is one of the ideas, of course. Split, if before you will do all the things in one class, now try to split it into 2 parts. Part 1 is the asynchronous part. That is when students are working at home by themselves. So that's why the introduction and exploration, you can do that with the video that I was telling you about, or with the link to a website that you create or that you have created. So you know what is in that website, and you know how useful it will be for presenting the new topic to your students. Probably you have students that cannot connect at the same time, or that for X or Y reason, they didn't have internet or something happened. Well, for those students, try to record the sessions, the synchronous sessions, and make them available for the asynchronous. So let's say you have your activities or your things in Google Meet or in Zoom. Try to record that. And then if you know that that was a heavy teaching material, then use that one and put it in your platform. If you're using Schoology, Google, Bloom's, you name it, make sure that students have access to those presentations or those explanations that you give, okay? And for extra practice, give them probably a link to a YouTube video, maybe a text. If you're working with older students, with young adults, probably give them 1 or 2 texts per lesson or per unit. So they have enough resources to keep doing that, the active retrieval of information. And for part 2, that is typically what we do during class, so in the synchronous sessions, and also a little bit of what we do afterwards. So after they present, after they do the things, for example, we have scheduled a synchronous lesson. That for me is one of the most important factors. If we want to keep connected with students, we need to make sure that we have at least once a month. I know it's very hard, and I know that you might have lots of students, but at least once a month with your students, try to have a 5-minute or 10-minute conversation when it is just one-on-one, right? Because that's something that we used to do before. Before, when you had your students working, answering an exercise or working on a writing, you will start monitoring and go through the aisles, like go to the classroom, and you could go and just go directly to one student and talk to that student. Right now, it's a little bit hard. So if you can schedule after you finish productive activities, schedule a session with your students so you can give them feedback. Oh, I really like your writing. Or you know what? Your speaking has improved a lot. That is going to help you, number one, connect with your students, create a better rapport. And then number three, it will help students enormously so they can have that personal feedback from their teachers. So that's the other one. Now let's go into number 2, community. Now with this one, actually I have a quote for a teacher. She's Sarah Gosner, and she was a teacher of 3rd grade. And she mentioned that the strength of our relationships with our students will be the key determinant of their success academically. And this year, more than anything, the social and emotional work for us teachers, yes, it might be harder, but it will pay off more for our students. So that's why previously I was mentioning, if you can have those one-on-one conferences, they need it more than ever. If you feel that, oh my God, I need to see my friends. But before, I don't know about you, but I lived through the previous, like, sort of a big disease that it was influenza H1N1. And I remember that I missed classes. Like, they had to stop classes. We were not so advanced with platforms and technology, internet, having online lessons. So I completely felt isolated. Right now, we do have the tools. So it will be best if we use them, not only for the classes, but also for checking upon our students. So yes, it might be hard because, as I was mentioning, sometimes we have 100 students or over 100 students, but this is going to be better for them. And this is going to help them and also help us. When we are helping others, we are helping ourselves at the same time. So for community, again, if you can reach every student, it's going to be wonderful. Even if it is just one message. Maybe you don't have time to do those 5 to 10-minute conferences. Send an email or send something that it's personal to every student, not just a copy-paste version. Make sure that the social connection is one of the first priorities, especially when you are starting a new course or a new semester. This is a key element. Make sure that the social connection, that relationship that they can create with you and with classmates, it's a key element in your class. Try to focus at the beginning as well in the emotional safety of students. Make sure that they know that the English lesson is a safe place, is a safe environment for making mistakes, for making comments, to be themselves, that they won't be judged. So try to get to know your students. Really be open about getting to know them. This is another tip that I have for working with teenagers. In those very first classes or very first week that I have with students, I tend to do like a questionnaire about themselves. So yes, we typically have the introduction, but now using all the tools like technology and everything, I know that students are really into YouTube or TikTok and those short videos, like talking about themselves. I don't know if in TikTok you have seen those, but it's amazing. I can use the technology that they are using now, transform it, or rather say adapt it, use it for my lesson so they can use the things that they know or use the ideas that they have seen, in this case, in another social media platform, and bring it into the class. So they feel like, oh, okay, I've seen this before, or probably I've done one of those videos before. So that's what we are doing. And the last one, if you're working in an institution, when you have like your students from the previous course, you can still have contact with them. Something really nice is creating a means of communication. Like, I know handwritten letters are something that we don't do anymore, or letters in general. And right now, probably we cannot send that email like pen pals will do, but we can do it through an email, perhaps. So if you can pair students, like your previous students, the students from the last course, with the students of the new course, that is amazing. And this is something that you can easily replicate when we go back to the classrooms. I used to do it with my students. In the last week of classes, I will ask them to write a letter for my future students. And this was amazing because the students at the beginning were like, to whom? So, and I will say like a letter to my younger self. So you can use in here the metaphor or the person that you know that your students will connect. I don't know if it is Yoda or if it is Albus Dumbledore because they are into Harry Potter, like you name it. You can use a metaphor of using a very wise character directing the newbie. So I don't know. I'm thinking about, yes, Yoda and then any Padawan, right? So Yoda is a master. Yoda knows things, but the Padawan, they need direction. They need guidance. So that guidance, when you tell students, oh, you're going to be the one in power and you're going to be the one guiding the new student, immediately you empower your students. You make them motivated for doing a grading task. I previously mentioned that is my favorite, grading. So that's what I will do with students. I will try to make them excited about the piece of wisdom that they might have to share. And in the grading, they will have to share tips about learning the language, about if they have struggles or not, how can they overcome it? And also comments about the teacher, like, oh, be careful. The teacher on Mondays, if she hasn't had her coffee, so make sure that she's got. Or try not to speak in my case, Spanish might be like, try not to speak in Portuguese because she will be like, oh, no. So you name it. They can give those comments. And if you want to continue this, if you still have contact with those students, you can have them do an exchange. So right now, again, we can do it with an email. So you can ask students to send those emails to one another so they can have contact, the Padawan and the Yoda master. So you can do something like this. This is great so they can connect. So those are the things for building community that I will suggest. The next one is attention. Now, this one is tricky because I know that now that we are in this online realm, something that has happened is that attention, if we are being honest, we are getting used to be lots and lots of time in our screen. And I don't know about you, I personally don't use TikTok, but if I'm there and then I find something, I can be there easily for half an hour. In Instagram, like you name it, because you are just scrolling so we are just now instructed, so to speak, to use and to work that way. But in classes, it's not that way. Like, for example, in Instagram, you have 15 seconds for sharing a story, and that's it. You don't have more time. So the span of attention, if it is with this new generation of students, if it is already short, with the use of technology, the excessive use that we are having right now, it's getting shorter and shorter because we are programming our brains to react to only those very little amount of information or time for presenting information. So this is affecting obviously the attention and the attention rates that students may have. So something that was really intriguing to me is the use of rewards. So students can pay attention, so they can be attentive into your lesson. So something that I was checking, and this is a tech talk, you can Google it after this session. It's the puzzle of motivation. It's amazing. It's going to work. So in that TED talk, the guy presenting, he talks about two reward systems to motivate the person to achieve a task or to complete a task. And he was mentioning that for mechanical tasks, if you are giving a high reward, everybody will perform well. Meaning, if we translate this into education, if we are talking about PE class, if you do 100 sit-ups, the first one to do 100 sit-ups gets $100. Everybody will be super motivated and they will do it fast and everybody will be in control of doing it. So, because it is a mechanical task, it's something that they have to do, so to speak. But for cognitive tasks, let's say that instead of doing 100 sit-ups, I'm going to ask you to do an essay of not 100 pages, but an essay with 10 pages. And the reward, unlike with the sit-ups, is not going to be $100. It's going to be $1,000. So, oh my God, it's an essay, 10 pages, how many words on the topic, and I have to. They realize, because they released this. This was a test that they created in the States, and they realized that for mechanical tasks, a reward was super positive. But for cognitive tasks, such as learning a language is not mechanical. Learning a language has to do with cognition. It has to be with the way that we think, the way we connect, the way that we communicate. Even if we have a bigger reward, the performance of the students was lower or poorer. So it was like, wow, I was giving you more money for the essay that I was giving you for the sit-ups. What happened? Well, that's how we work. For mechanical tasks, it's amazing to have the carrot and to show it to students and to say, hey, hurry up, I have it, I will give it to you. But for cognitive tasks, that doesn't work. So if we want a higher performance in the so-called 21st century skills, and we as teachers of a language, we mainly focus on this one, 21st century skills and the development of competencies. We need a new approach. So we cannot expect students to react to the old rewards or to mechanical rewards that we had. Because again, when learning a language, that won't happen. When learning a language, instead of giving rewards, we need to show them how that is going to be of a certain impact in their lives. And the way that we do that is with self-efficacy. So what is self-efficacy and why is it that we should use this one instead of the rewards? Well, number one, because we connect to an emotional state. We don't have $100 to give our students whenever they do a nice oral presentation or whenever they do a nice writing task. So we need first to motivate them by connecting to the emotions. For example, I mentioned I work mostly with teenagers. That's my favorite thing. So if I go to my students and I say, oh, everybody, we're actually going to work today with inviting someone out or accepting and refusing invitations. Now, if you like me are a teacher, you know, like we are already talking functions. I'm already telling them the function. But that is not connecting in any way to the emotional state of my students. If I'm working with high schoolers, what can connect? Something like this. Okay, I'm going to teach you today, we're going to learn how to invite your crush on a date. So much different, right? So we are connecting to the emotional state because most of our students in that age, they have a crush. And they're like, yes, I want to invite them out, or I want to ask for their number, or how I do it. So that is the first thing we do. When we are presenting, that's what we do. The next one is a verbal persuasion. So the crush That only word, it's going to drag their attention. Now, the verbal persuasion is you want to learn this because you want to be that person that gets a yes from your crush. Or probably you want to know how to politely say no to that guy or that girl that was asking you out. So that's what we do. So first, make them connect to an emotion, a desire. Then connect the new thing that you want to teach to your students with a persuasion, okay? Then try to connect it to their experiences. And in here, I could go for like, oh, have you ever gone out on a date? Yes, no. If no, okay, which one will be your perfect date? If you were to go on a date, which one will be your perfect one? So make them connect with experiences. And maybe they say like, yes, I have been on dates. Or maybe they say like, no, I have never been. So how can I connect that to experience? Okay, have you ever experienced going out with your parents or going out with friends? Oh yeah, I have done that. Okay, from those, are there things that you like or things that you dislike? So you can go for things like that. Try to connect it to the real world. Try to connect it to their personal lives. And then an active mastery. So that is when we know, okay, so my job in here is done. I got them already excited. We started talking about the topic and active mastery, time to teach. So I have them all on board. So they are in here with me. So once they're all on board, we can start going. So those are the fancy terms. if we put those ones plainer or in a simple way, emotional state, that is when we teachers, we have to be a good seller. I have to sell my students. Why? So I have this brand new product. It is present perfect and it's going to work for you. Of course, I'm not going to say present perfect because no one is going to give any damn, but that's pretty much what we do. So we connected to an emotional state. So we became sellers in this one. In the second one, verbal persuasion, we became cheerleaders. So we're like, yes, you can do it. And come on. And like, oh, you did something like that, something similar. So they get this positive reassurance that they can do things. And this is the perfect space for them to make mistakes. This is when we start having, in other words, the drills to kill. So lots and lots in practice in this part. Be curious experience. Not only we have them connect with different things, but we also model. So before they can connect it to something else, to going out on a date, we need to show them. You might show a video, you might have a recreation with another one of your students, you might do a role play, things like that. This is what we do. And for the last one, as teachers, we let them work because they already have practice, because they already see, they have seen a model, because they have probably even analyzed that model. So now you are the observer. So this is what we do. And I can see that some of you are commenting, like teacher Tanya, like you're commenting that you are using some tools. Yeah, we can talk about this one later on, but that's what we do. We use what they already know. So they feel motivated because that is something that they are using outside. So last for this one is technology. Now, with technology, we have lots of things to discuss probably, and I'm most likely not going to be able to go over every single one of them. But with this one, again, use what they already know or use tools that are not too hard to get acquainted to and that are going to give you lots of progress, okay? So for this one, it's, for example, Bitmoji. That is one of my favorites. That is one of the ones that I use. Also, my sister, she's also an educator. And that's basically what we use for our classes. So in this one, it's so simple. Again, it's completely free. So you don't have to worry about this. So maybe you are teaching and you're using, again, Zoom or Meet, and you are giving PPTs. So sometimes you turn off your camera, or sometimes, especially, and I have noticed this one, it's very true when you're working with kids, they need to keep seeing you. So we figured out that if we could work with a cartoon version of ourselves, they could still connect with the presentation. And sometimes we will put like silly costumes, because you can do that one, silly costumes. And for the active retrieval, for actively asking students or quizzing them on the content, we will ask questions if we were like, I don't know, using like a clown nose, or we were using funny eyeglasses or something in the avatar. We will ask students, oh, we were using a clown nose, yes or no? And they were like, oh my God. So that makes them also pay attention to the presentation. So if you notice that sometimes like they're hesitant or not really looking at what you are projecting, try to do this one. So you make some changes here and there. And this is super fun. You can interact with your students in a very nice way. So they can still have that. And even for presentations. And that is actually why I did it at the beginning. So you can use something like this. So you can ask students, before they do speaking, they can do writing. So they can have, this is to me, before speaking, when you're working with students that are beginning their journey into using the language, my favorite is developing first writing and then turn that into speaking, because that is like a safety blanket that makes them feel confident. And they're like, oh, okay, I have this. I'm okay with this. Because they can go back and look, and then they can start having the presentation. And yes, I can see the chat firing up with Bitmoji. Actually, I have all this template. I can share it with you, and I can share information about Bitmoji. So later on, we can check how to get that. This is highly important. Rehearse from the student's point of view. In my case, with my youngsters, most of them work from tablets. Very once in a while, they go for an actual laptop or a desktop. So, or even cell phones. That's how they connect. I use mostly Zoom. So I had not noticed until several of my students were like, teacher, you sent the document, but I cannot see it. And I was like, yes, it is in there. And I was like, it's in the chat box. And my students were like, no, it is not here. I cannot see it. Later on, I realized, or rather say I learned, if I was using Zoom and if my students were using the cell phone, they cannot see the document that I share. Little did I know. So make sure that if you are asking students to download activities, to do exercises, or to do different things, and if you know that your students are connected not from a computer, make sure that you experience how the students will see it. This is highly crucial if we want to be successful with our tasks, especially if you have activities that you are going to grade. Make sure that you see how it looks from a cell phone, how it looks from the computer, how it looks from a tablet, if possible, of course. But this is a key element. And the next one, create video tours. If your school closed before new students came into class, and if you have already the option of showing that visual, it's amazing. So students can connect. Especially, I have noticed with the students that are going into junior high, they just finished elementary. They're moving into junior high. They are changing schools completely. It is not the same institution. So when they come to junior high, they're like, well, yeah, I am in junior high, but I don't feel like in junior high, except that I have different teachers. That's it. I don't even know the school. I have never even been in a classroom in that school. So if you can give one of those video tutorials, or if your school has already one of those videos, like showing the parts in your school, that is amazing. So students can feel connected. And the last one, try to link everything. If you can connect things, it's amazing. And what I mean by connecting and linking everything in one place is the less clicks that the student has to give, the better. If your student has to give like 5 different clicks to do your activities, you are losing attention every single time that they click. So make sure that you have everything, the activities, the resources, the videos, everything in one page. Again, that's why I love Google Sites. And I'm going to show you another web page, again, completely free. You can add everything. Activities, audios, a place for them to do recordings, a place for you to record an audio with the instruction. It's amazing. I'm going to show you in a sec. So that's with that. And the last one for this one is possible oopsies. We know we might have issues. We're not perfect. So in order to foresee problems, and I know that is a part in the lesson plan, possible adjustments, we have it at the very end of the lesson plan, and sometimes we don't pay attention as we should have, or that's my feeling. Try to think like a non-teacher, especially for instructions. Now that everything is online, for instructions of activities that students have to do by themselves, try to think like a non-teacher. If you have your spouse, if you have your siblings or someone that can come and check the instructions that you are putting into your activities, if they understand and if they don't speak English, but like you try to explain it and they go, okay, I understand what I have to do, we're good to go. The activity is perfect. But if they go like, okay, I can explain, then we need to go back. We need to probably take a break and then go back and rewrite it. Scaffolding, try to rewind as much as you can. And in particular, for knowing what are the things that are working or not with your students, you can use the plus delta chart. So this is something that students can record or answer. You can set it up in a Google form if you want to, so it can be completely anonymous. So they can see the plus are the things that are working, the things or the activities, the interactions, the apps that students are enjoying, the things that they say, teacher, amazing, you were great using this, right? And the delta, those are the things that probably not in your class, probably from someone else's class. It was not so cool. Or it was like, I wish we didn't have to do this one. So try to check this part, right? And at the beginning, when we were talking about how is this Quarenteaching process, one of you wrote teamwork. Now, teamwork is not only for students, teamwork is also for us teachers. If you can have a meeting with a friend, and I'm not talking about your best friend from childhood, I'm talking about a teacher friend, someone that if you are talking methods, if you are talking specifics in activities or interactions or platforms, they understand. If you can have one like that, it's amazing. And it might be someone from your same academic staff. It might be a teacher that was working with you in a different school. But try to make sure to have a team, to have someone. Believe me, that was something that helped me a lot this last year for not breaking down. That helped me keep my mental sanity. So if you can have this one, and also if you can prepare like in here, a margarita or maybe a piña colada, or I don't know what you like to drink, but try to have one of those chill moments so you can just vent and then be ready for the next week. So that's it for the very important points. Now, we're getting into the last bit. So I promise you, at the end, I'm going to give you some of my favorite tools, all of them for free. So the first one is quizzes. My favorite, by far my favorite. If you want to quiz students, it has two options. You can show memes or you can hide them because it might be too distracting or you name it. What I like about quizzes is that it's super easy to use. You can use as many questions as you want. Every student will have to enroll, start using the quiz. But again, for me, the best part is the memes. So whenever they answer a question, they can have a meme like the one that we have in here. The right answers, you. So it's like, I need to work. They also have the option to retake a question. So if they have free time and they earn like enough points, they can retake a question because probably they didn't read properly, or probably, I don't know, they just click before realizing. That's what I like about quizzes, that it allows students, not in all the quiz, because you got timely, so everything has to be fast, but you can give them the second chance. So this is something that I really like. The next one, it's actually Gweezer. And this is the page that I was telling you. In this one, you can create a website, and in there, you can create the whole lesson. So you can put activities for vocabulary, like dragging, writing. Like I was saying before, you can record yourself giving the instructions. You can ask students, if it is for a speaking task, you can ask students to record themselves. It is amazing. And you will have everything in just one page. So students don't have to click here and then go to another link and then return to, no, everything is in one page. That's what I really love about this part. So Gweezer, again, for having everything in just one page. The next one is Edpuzzle. So if you really like using videos, but you have noticed that your students are not paying attention to the whole video, Edpuzzle is for you. You can make the video to stop, completely freeze, and then if the student doesn't answer, they cannot keep watching the video. And probably the biggest question is at the end. So you set it at the end because that's what you know. So students will have to watch the full video, answer the questions, and then that's how you make sure that they see what is going on with that video. Because if we plan a video for our students, it's not only because we want to, it's because the content in there is really valuable, right? And the last one is the Breakout Teams. Now, in Zoom, and that's the tool that I use, it's so easy right now, and right now we have it for free. But in Google Meet, I know that we struggle. So with my sister, she was using Google Meet, and she was like, oh, I wish I could use what you're using in Zoom. So then I Googled it, we started looking for it. There is a tool. You need to install it. Like, obviously, both you and your students, everybody has to be using Google Chrome. And that is just an extension. So you can just Google it like that. Google Meet Breakout. That's it. So make sure that your students have it installed. Make sure that you install it. It's an extension, so it's nothing like so big or that it's gonna like turn your computer into ashes. Nah, don't worry. It's totally fine. And that is going to help you. So that's it. I think that was fast, right? And it was not that painful. So lastly, just remember, all those digital tools are not teaching our kids. We are teaching our kids. The core of all this is people. And right now, the ones moving and leading are definitely us teachers. So we need to show them that even though we are online, we're still together. Even though we are separated, we can still create a community. That is the most important. So if you want to know anything else, if you want to connect with me, if you want me to give you more information about the tools that I mentioned or all the things that I was using or suggesting, email me. I have a present for you. So yes, I'll be more than happy to reply. So I don't know if we have any questions. Let me see right now. I'm going to start checking the chat box. Thank you so very much for your comments, by the way. Lovely. Thank you so very much. Now I'm gonna try to go back to the comment that we saw about TikTok. Again, the use of new technologies, or rather say the apps. I understand many parents will say, no, I don't want my kid to start using that one again. There are some very nice alternatives if you are not allowed by your institution to use, like, I don't know, TikTok or Instagram. There are educational tools. So again, you can email me. I have the information about those websites, even tutorials about how to use them, and they are quite similar to Instagram and TikTok. So in the sense that students can record themselves, do like a video blog, video, things like that. But those are educational, purely for education. So that video doesn't leave that stream. It's only in that educational platform. So email me and I will give you extra information. And if still they don't allow that to happen, well, we go back to the basics. We will have to ask the students to do the call or to record themselves the video. And at the end of the day, it's going to be also more work for parents, because parents will have to make sure that the students are working with the video instead of doing it with other or doing it online. They have to do it manually, then have to upload it, if it uploads or not. So all of that. The name of the last app. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm going to go back. So those are the 4 that I suggested. I didn't list it here, but the first one that we use when you were like all entering the QR code, that is Slido. Okay. So that is the one that we have. Yes, teacher, like Claudia. Yes, we can use Edmodo for replacing Facebook. For example, Edmodo, I really don't have it, but I have Blooms. And also Blooms is directed to parents. So that is also a very nice tool, a very nice platform that you can use to communicate with teachers, with parents, with students, to have feedback, to create sessions. It's amazing. So thank you. So good. I don't know if we have any comment or any other.
Hi, Lucero. Hi, everybody. Thanks a lot for joining us today. It was amazing. Lucero, the guys are asking if you could let this presentation available to download as well. The video will be recorded here on YouTube,
Yes.
but if the guys are asking for the download the material, if it's possible.
Actually, I mean, I cannot per se like share it because of company policies, but it's going to be on YouTube. So you can come back and rewatch it. And again, if you have any particular question, feel free to email me. I'll be more than happy to get in touch with you.
Oh, thanks a lot. And just to remind everyone, the link to download the certificate for this lecture is on the video's description. Each lecture has this particular certificate, and everybody has to download it during the next 7 days, or else it will leave the internet. It will never exist again after 7 days. All right. Thanks a lot, everybody. Thanks, Lucero. And
No, thank you.
and we're finishing the broadcast right here. Thanks a lot.
Yes. Thank you. Bye bye, everybody.
See you guys tomorrow.